All right. Now, just to make sure, I'm going to do the intro so that we don't have to worry about it. If I can play it, and then I'll do like an intro. Hey there, and welcome to the Classical Liberal Project. My name is Danielle, and I'm here with Michael Long from New York here. Hey, Michael.
How we doing, Danielle?
Not too bad. You've been pretty involved in the Libertarian Party for a while. You're a member of the Classical Liberal Caucus. What else should folks know about you?
So, I first got involved with politics, I think around 2005-ish. So I was still a teenager then. I used to be pretty darn conservative at the time. And I had a change of heart. And I think because of, I think around 2011 when Gary Johnson was running for president. And I voted for him not only, around 2016. But Ron Paul, I think, was running in the 2012 election. Yeah, he did run in 2012. Now I can think about it. And so I joined the year prior, the Libertarian Party National, and I changed a lot of the stances that I currently have, and so and then in 2013, when I came back to New York, I got involved with the Capital District Libertarian Party, and that is now been replaced since the party had major party status in New York, but has recently shifted to not having major party status because of the major ballot access requirements.
What do you know personally what the ballot access requirements are?
There are I don't know the specifics, but I know it's pretty daunting. I think it's like, if I had to estimate, it's like, I can't even think of a number, but they're pretty high. They're pretty high.
Okay. So tell me more about losing party official or a major party status and whatnot.
Well, the former governor of New York, had changed the rules at the last minute right after Larry Sharpe, who had run for governor in 2018, I think it was. So right after we had won major party status, they had something going on with one of the other political parties and the governor, who at the time was Governor Andrew Cuomo. And he had decided that he was going to, this was with a different political party, the Family's Working Party to be exact, with Cynthia Nixon and all that. And so he rebelled by not necessarily removing the political parties, but changing the party the requirements to get on the ballot, and then the amount of votes that would be needed to be achieved in both gubernatorial and presidential election.
What year did that happen?
I believe it was
like in the last couple of years since Gary Johnson.
20. I think it was around 20. Well, Larry Sharpe had just won in 2018, and we had just gotten party affiliation status with the LPNY for the FCLP, that is, in 2019, and we had major party status within the LPNY at the state level. So this was right around that same 2021. I can't remember yet but anyways, because I know Larry Sharpe ran twice, and the second time he didn't do as good, and they had changed the requirements and all that because of the whole fallout with Cynthia Nixon and the governor.
Okay.
So we had lost party affiliation major party status. And so basically, because of the requirements, I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but as you are well aware, it's a lot more challenging than it is in most states.
Yeah, I actually looked it up on Ballotpedia. Ballotpedia?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like for 2024, the Democrats are required to get 15,000 signatures. The Republicans are required 5,000 signatures, or 5% of registered Republican voters. And independent presidential candidates are required to have 45,000 votes, 500 signatures from at least 13 different congressional districts.
And
So,
then
yeah.
and then to get on the ballot, you have to include 5% of. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a big mess in this state with that.
Mm-hmm.
And to top it off, the major parties in this state get what's called matching funds,
Okay.
which they've also included. So, like if a Democrat and a Republican are running campaigns, for every percentage point of monies they're able to donate, taxpayers pay or flip the bill by force. The state takes their money anyways and just funds their campaigns with it.
What's that called?
I think it's matching funds or something like that, where the way they got it set up, the major parties are taking taxpayers' money to fund their campaigns, the matching funds, for every percentage point or worth that they're able to raise.
Yeah, so I did just look it up on the PDC website for, is it PDC? It's the New York State Public Campaign Finance Board, so whatever that
Yeah.
acronym is.
I remember Larry Sharp was talking about that
Uh-huh.
too.
So it says the New York State Public Campaign Finance Program provides candidates running for statewide or state legislative offices the ability to qualify for public matching funds based on small donations from residents in their district. It does just say candidates running for office. So $5 to $250 donations can be matched.
But that's for the major parties. That excludes political third parties and independents.
Yeah. I am browsing through that. You can't even use that for president either. So so you're talking about Larry Sharp's run for what office?
He was running this was with regards to ballot access and for the
For
times that
for which position was Larry Sharp running?
governor.
Governor. Okay. So yeah, so it does look like it is just statewide offices. The ballot access that you're talking about for governor, does that also apply to presidential?
Yes, because the
Okay.
requirements are every 2 years now, so it's per gubernatorial and presidential.
Right. Okay. So, like, if we got ballot access from Larry Sharp's running for governor last time he ran, then we would not we would have major party status and we would have different ballot access requirements then.
Right. And we
Okay.
did have that, I think, after he ran in 2018, but then he ran again, and I think it was 4 years. I can't remember, but we lost ballot access after that, after the second time that he ran, because
Okay.
he couldn't meet the new requirements, apparently. He, yeah.
Okay.
So these are just examples of why I get more emboldened with why I support the Libertarian Party. And granted, I don't really support the current leadership of the party, but why I support the Libertarian Party in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I can speak not only from the fact that I've volunteered my time with I mean, everything that I do for my show that I haven't done recently, Michaels Libertarian Pizza Party, I've kind of do because of the passion that I have towards wanting to get libertarians elected to public office in general on all levels of government. And I have a pretty good track record of voting for the Libertarian Party and its candidates and advocating for that. Granted, I haven't always been that efficient with or good at doing petitioning, but other than that, I've made up for it in other areas. Like, like I said, I've been involved with the Capital District Libertarian Party before that was dissolved because we had to change our party around at the state level. I was the co-founder of the FCLP, which is the Fulton County Libertarian Party. And I was the secretary of the organization. And then eventually, after our chair resigned, I became the acting chairman of the organization. And the county affiliate had since been disaffiliated with the LPNY because, as you know, I'm going to school and whatnot and haven't been able to meet up with the demands of having monthly meetings. On top of the fact that because of the ballot access requirements, and we've sort of been in a lull, right? And between that and the LPNY's strategy of having grassroots organizations, county affiliates to do most of the footwork, most of the people in Fulton County, I feel like have given up on, not necessarily politics, but the idea of having a libertarian, not that that's a bad idea to have libertarians elected. It's actually an awesome idea.
Well, yeah, of course. Now, I think that I am a little bit confused about what you're saying about the matching funds, because it looks like, according to their website, in order to qualify for public matching funds, a participating candidate must raise a minimum threshold amount of money and receive a minimum number of matching contributions. So it looks like, we'll just say governor. So for Larry Sharp, for example, do you know how much money he was able to raise?
That I'm not really the best person to ask regarding that. Larry Sharp might know more about that.
Okay. I thought you might know because we were talking about that matching requirement.
Oh, yeah,
it does. Was it below $500,000, you think? Because that is, you have to raise $500,000 and
but
it has to be from 5,000 residents.
Right.
And I doubt Larry even made 500,000 then, because libertarians do very low budget.
Without a doubt.
Races.
And this was, and plus, I think not only do you have to meet those requirements to get matching funds, to your point, right? Mm-hmm. But on top of that, you have to, you almost have to be a major party just to be able to meet those requirements. And then not only that, but be able to receive those funds. The whole thing behind the matching funds is if you don't have major party status, and I feel like money is can make a big difference, in anybody's campaign.
No, but that is what's confusing. But so you're not saying that you have to have major party status. They didn't deny these matching contributions because he was not running as a Republican, right?
Right.
Okay.
He wasn't running as a Republican. He was running on.
Right. I was asking, because you said the threshold requirements also require that you be part of a major party. Was that also part of why?
At least that was to my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. So I probably should have clarified that in the beginning. So I apologize if I had forgotten to do that. But
I always ask the dumb questions because I figure I'm smarter than some people, and those people might have questions too.
Oh,
Um,
understandably.
yeah, I do think that you're right, though, that even if it doesn't require major party status, in general, right, it does require you to be a member of a major party, because otherwise you're not going to get that many people to contribute or that much money. The annoying thing to me, though, is that the threshold for matching is so high that if you're already raising that much money, it doesn't really make sense to me to pay out of taxpayer dollars um
Right.
to help fund you. I would think that you should have less than $500,000 and they'll match, you know?
Although, on a more principled stance, I would argue that taxpayers being forced to flip the bill for anybody's campaign is just wrong on so many levels. Um, because ideally, right? And I'm not saying, I mean, I know we don't live in that world, but ideally, it's forced. If we're going to sit there and say, okay, taxpayers should flip the bill for any candidate that received X amount of money for their, because you're forcing people who may not believe in their views to fund their views anyways, and that's contrary to, you know, freedom and representative democracy or and all that.
I tend to disagree on things like that because our voting system is very, very important. I actually would personally prefer that folks only be required to gather signatures, and then every candidate gets the same amount of money from the taxpayer pot.
Right. If
Be
we're going to go that route, then yes, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, I would not consider that form of taxation theft because it is much more equal. I'm definitely not an all taxation is theft libertarian. I believe some
Right. And there
government should be in
are,
place.
yeah, there should be some government in place, but the, philosophy tends to can be very detailed, with a lot of this stuff. But, I'm just saying that ideally we wouldn't want to use taxpayers' funds to be used to pay for anybody's campaigns. But if we had to, then I would rather it be, like you said, on a level playing field. And the problem as it currently stands, is that's not what's going on.
Right, right. So, are you working with the Libertarian Party or any presidential candidate to ensure that the whatever candidate gets nominated is going to have ballot access for the presidential race this upcoming year?
Um, I haven't been working with any of the candidates presidentially. The only presidential candidate that I know personally so far, and that's because I have his number, got in the mail, all that, is Mike Trematt. And I did do an interview. I did do an interview with him.
Cool.
So, but other than that, as far as, I mean, I have been active with the LPCLC, and I've also
Okay.
kind of been active. I've also been active, sporadically with the LPNY, but like recently I've been busy with my schooling, so I haven't been as active as I've wanted to. You know,
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the what you've been doing in the CLC. I know that you have been actually active. You said that you've been contributing with social media.
that's
Um,
correct.
can you tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing for that?
Well, I mean, I basically will post stuff on our Facebook page for the CLC that has like anything of interest that I feel that isn't going to get me, like, like basically it's just reposts of what's on our website, the CLC website, different posts that are, within our guidelines and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And then
Is
maybe I'll add a string or two of, maybe I'll add my own take on it.
What are some kinds of issues that you like to talk about when you're doing stuff like that?
So the big one I feel would be comprehensive immigration reform. And that's because I feel like I'm more of a philosophical libertarian at best, right? And when I see what's going on, I don't see how having closed borders, even though I used to think opposite to this, right? But I don't feel I don't feel currently that having closed borders and trade restrictions and all that is to our benefit. So I'll post within those viewpoints that aren't overly controversial, right? About maybe why we should have the free flow of people, goods, and services across borders.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I definitely am much more pro immigration than some folks. So I do appreciate you getting the word out on that. I know that's really important.
Right.
Um, Something else you've been working on, I think we sort of mentioned it. You didn't say how you interviewed these folks, but was it for your podcast, Michael's Libertarian Pizza Party?
That's correct.
All right, you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so it's Michaels Libertarian. It's youtube.com/Michaels. Okay, so it's www.youtube.com/C/Michaels Libertarian Pizza. Michaels Libertarian Pizza Party. I've interviewed Mike Trematt, Larry Sharp, Daniel Donnelly, Laura E. Blake, and quite a few others.
Right on. Well, that'll be super interesting for our listeners to check out if they
So if they're interested, they can go
yeah.
to my YouTube channel, and they'll see a lot of my solo videos, but they'll also see a lot of the people that I've interviewed.
Okay. And is that distributed anywhere other than YouTube, or is that the only place we can find it?
I do have a podcast version of it.
Okay. So there's audio only on like Apple or
Spotify.
Spotify. Okay.
Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your podcasts at. I know there's but yeah, so those would be the main two.
Cool. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up? I feel like we've gotten through most of my checklist. I want to make sure you feel like you've let our listeners know about all the stuff that you're working on.
Right. I mean, I haven't worked on any additional episodes recently because, as I've mentioned, I've been busy with school and whatnot. But I I feel like all the people that I've interviewed, I mean, getting the word out about these different people, they're amazing. Everything that they've done. I mean, it isn't just like I've interviewed a few county chairmans and stuff like that. I think the main takeaway here, with my experience, though it may be limited compared to most people, right? But the main takeaway is I do this for the benefit, not necessarily for the benefit of myself, not really for the benefit of myself. I'm not doing any of this for me. I'm doing this because I care about, people being allowed to have the right to decide for themselves, to be free, to live their lives how they see fit, as long as they don't impose danger, force, or fraud to others. That's the main that's the key difference. And I know I feel like I'm philosophical with that. But everything that I do as far as politics is concerned with libertarianism is getting the word out and on my end to the best of my ability and just sort of explaining to folks, this is what I believe, this is why I feel you should join the LP. I mean, and I know the LP could be improved upon, but the main takeaway is that if this is what you believe, you want to be free in your lifetime and you want to achieve, having a government that basically leaves you alone as much as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Libertarian Party would be the way to go.
I agree. Well, thank you very much, Michael. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I definitely learned a little bit more about New York State ballot access. Hopefully, we're able to help get that settled. If you're interested in the CLC, you can always come visit us at lpclc.com. We've got a Discord and social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twix, whatever you're on. So thanks for coming. Have a good one.